Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning to these videos. And in this video, I wanted to speak on certain topics and read a few precepts, kind of going into the same notion of what this video that the elder Manatazakba has made, where this video had featured a so-called black woman. She was supposedly getting harassed by another Hebrew Israelite group with a megaphone, and they were cursing her out. And she didn't receive the words, the knowledge, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, nor was she willing to receive it. And that's pretty much the gist of the video. But what in that the title of the video, it said hashtag just preach. And that's what we do at Great Millstone, whether you hear or whether you forbear. When we're out there on the highways and hedges, we are calling to the elect of the Most High, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai's sheep. And we don't rely on gimmicks. We don't rely on pamphlets or things like that. If a person does come up to us very nicely and they're actually adhering to what we're saying and they want to learn more, we do give out certain papers where we have the YouTube channels link on it. But we don't do all this extra stuff because all that extra stuff isn't part of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai's plan. His plan is to have us sent out, preach this word, and those who hear that word, because when we speak, they're hearing Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, his sheep will come. We're not worried about the people who don't care about the Bible or what's to come. We only care of those who have ears to hear. And we have to do that a lot in these times, because you're going to see a lot of scoffers come up against us, but also on the balance, the rest of the followers coming in these last days, because you still have us out there for a reason. We are still preaching and edifying, and you still have members newly entering into this ministry and into this baptism of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. So we're still out there for the elect's sake, and we're going to continue to preach, and we're not going to be dismayed by those who don't believe this message, because ultimately they're being marked, just like what it says in Ezekiel 9:4. But I wanted to start this reading in Matthew 7, because this is kind of like a mindset that we have out there. We're not out there answering stupid questions. And you do this for a little bit, you start to see stupid people asking stupid questions because they're really just trying to scoff at us or distract us or try to change the topic into something completely unrelated to salvation. It's basically just agents of Satan trying to disrupt this ministry. So have this in your mindset that when you come to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for temptation. Prepare for scoffers. Prepare for people who aren't going to get it. And this is in Matthew 7:6. Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast ye pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you. And this basically is a metaphor of this truth. This truth is gold. This truth is what's going to keep you stable in these last days. But you shouldn't be going around preaching this message to certain family members or your coworkers or to every single individual that's out there on the highways and hedges. We're not stopping people and forcing them to hear us. If they hear these messages, then they should come. So we're not worried about those who don't believe, and we're not going to do gimmicks to try to force these people to believe, because this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is likened unto pearls, gold. And these people who disregard it are basically pigs. They don't regard pearls as a valuable thing. They see that as something that they're just going to trample over. And I'm going to continue on reading. So I'll read it from verse 6 again. It says, Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample under their feet, and turn again and rend you. And so, like, giving this to dogs, basically, they're going to tear it up. They're not going to know what to do with it. So we're really trying to give this to you, the sheep of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And there's a spiritual thing that's happening. You can read this in Ezekiel 9:4, that there is a sifting also. Those who hear and those who forbear. So I'm going to read this in Romans 11, and I'm going to start at verse, just to get to the point. I'll start at verse 1. It says, I say then, hath the Most High Yahweh cast away his people? The Most High forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. And this is Paul, a Benjamite, speaking about the nation of Israel. And ultimately, we have not been cast out. But he is dealing with his remnant. The rest of the 2/3 are going to be destroyed. Just like as it says in Amos 9. The house is being sifted. And 2/3 of the nation of Israel will die by the sword. And so, continuing on, this is verse 2. It says, the Most High hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Wot ye not what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to the Most High against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets, and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. And this is an actual account that happened with Elijah. He was being persecuted because he was speaking the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And that's something that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Not even when we're out there on the highways and hedges. We're always dealing with adversaries and people who are pretty much anti-Hamashiachs, antichrists. That they're basically just out here trying to disrupt the prophecies, trying to disrupt the ministry in whichever way they can. And so with this situation with Elijah, he was actually running for his life. And so he made this plea to the Lord. In verse 3, it says, Lord, they have killed thy prophets, and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. And so that's representative of now. And the 144,000 elect of the nation of Israel who are not going to bow down to the image of Baal or to whatever wicked devices that Satan has to offer in the society. We're going to stand stiffly for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Verse 5, it says, Even so then, at this present time also, there is a remnant according to the election of grace. And that's who you want to be a part of. You hearing these words means that you're receiving the baptism of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And that's the remnant, the election of grace, because we're seeking that mercy. Well, Yahushai started his ministry just like how John the Baptist was speaking, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So these words should galvanize you to come to the fold. So I'm going to continue on, verse 5. It says, Even so then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. And if by grace, then it is no more of works, otherwise grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then is it no more grace, otherwise work is no more work. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. And this is an actual thing that's taking place. And with newcomers, when they come to this ministry, that's something that they have to understand. Because they taste a little bit of the honey, but you got to let the bitterness of the scriptures actually take hold of you. And understand that not everybody's going to make it. Not every family member is going to make it. Your mom and your dad are definitely not going to believe the things that you're speaking of because this word isn't for them, ultimately. Yeah, you're going to have some family members here and there who are going to have to have that actual unction from the Holy One to believe and to follow in this ministry. But for the majority, they're not going to take this. They're not going to receive this, and they're just going to continue to believe in whatever the society has to offer. They've pretty much already bowed their knee to the image of Baal. So we're only worried about the elect. So I'm going to read from verse 7 again. It says, What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, the Most High hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not sleep, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. And you can try as hard as you can to force a two-thirds to receive this, but they're ultimately not going to get it. They're basically the pearls before swines. If like I think as the apostles say it, if a two-thirds doesn't get it, we're moving on. We're not worried about them. We're not worried about the NW. They're not going to receive this. We already know that they're not going to receive this. Just preach the word and let the word do its work. And so I'm going to read a few more precepts going into that topic. Let me read this one first, because this was in Isaiah 6. And I'm going to start a little bit up. Let me see, Isaiah 6, and I'll start at verse 7. It says, "And he laid it upon my mouth, and said, Lo, this hath touched my lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, Here am I, send me. And he said, Go, and tell this people, Hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and and so like it says, and convert and be healed." So it's really, that's what's taking place. This word has gone out to the four corners of the earth, and it's accomplishing what it was sent to do, is to gather the remnants, the election of grace, as I was just reading in Romans 11. But to those who don't receive it, their eyes, they're going to see the signs and the precepts right next to it, going into how Yahushua is a dark-skinned man with white woolly hair, and they're not going to receive it. Their eyes have been made fat. They're going to hear these words and how we go precept upon precept, and we even go into secular history to prove our points, but they're not going to receive that. We're making this plain upon tables, but it's going into one ear and out the other. And so really, the things that's going to help them in their lives is this word. It cleanses them so that they can be converted and healed. But ultimately, there's an angel blocking them from receiving this, because they're pretty much, they bow down to the image of Baal. They're not of the remnant and the election of grace. So this is in verse 11. It says, "Then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, Until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate." So that's what's going to take place. And not only are we speaking to the hopeful elect, but we're speaking to the two-thirds so that they can be sealed for their condemnation, just as it says in Ezekiel 9:4. Let me actually get that, since I'm quoting it a lot. So this is in Ezekiel 9, and I'm going to just start to the point. This is Ezekiel 9:4. It says, "And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon their foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof." And that word mark right there is, the Hebrew word is the wa, which means a mark of exemption from judgment. So the angel is setting a mark on these people, that they're sighing and crying. They actually adhere to the words that are being preached. They want this this blessing, this gospel to be actually established. We want the kingdom of heaven to be built down here on earth. So those are the ones who are being exempt from the judgment. And so in verse 5 it says, "And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children, and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary." Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. And so this is basically answering that question in Isaiah. How long? Well, it's until the cities are laid to waste. Basically, Jacob's trouble, because those people that are going to be afflicted in those times are going to be the ones, of the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, who are the real Hebrew Israelites, the two-thirds specifically, who have rejected the words of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. So this is in Proverbs 1:28. going into pretty much like the pitiful case that they're going to be like. Is Proverbs 1:28. So okay, I'm going to read just a little bit up. I'll read verse 25. It says, "But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof." And you can see that only a few members are at our camps. The majority of these people are marked for condemnation. So from verse 25 again, it says, "But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices." And so that's basically going to be the end all be all of the 2/3. And we're going to laugh at their calamity once it takes place. And so I'm going to read this last precept. This is in 2 Thessalonians 2:10. So from verse 10 it says, "And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved." And verse 11 says, "And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. But we are bound to give thanks always to the Most High for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because the Most High hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth." So let me just get one more verse out of this. I guess that's it. But anyways, Lord's will, this video is edifying. Just going into that topic about how this message is really only for the elect, and to those who are disregarding this message, the angel has put a mark on them for condemnation and judgment. But with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Wadash, Shalom Akim.